Okay, this is the second video of a series of videos regarding my bike accident in the spring of 2012, which resulted in that situation. It's here at Schell Street, SC Hell. My name happens to be Sharon Cole, so I always see that as my own personal hell to have been here, but luckily it wasn't under worse circumstances. But they stitched me up here. This is in spring of 2012 with the universal healthcare push. Thomas Gallant would be the main person. There was another guy who tended to my wounds. I don't know his name. He came in really quick, did a few things. And then a really good plastic surgeon came in. They use that for people who have face injuries. So he said, whenever you have a face injury, they bring in a plastic surgeon. I don't remember the guy's name. I'd have to look him up again. I will say this, he was stellar. So I will give the medical industry this. I couldn't believe how awesome he was as a physician, as a doctor, as a surgeon, you know, cosmetic surgeon or whatever you call it. So he was stitching me up. Meanwhile, this bike accident was bad. It was next to a double-decker bus, and there's a whole series of things that unfolded where it's like, that's weird. Like, can people cause this invisibly? So I texted one of my clients who happens, coincidentally, you know, just so happens all this happened around Pennsylvania Hospital, luckily, you know. I had a client who I walked a dog of recently. He used to live up here near 9th and Lombard. So I feel trapped in here. This guy had to pull in now. So they trap people is what we get off of that. So while he's doing that, I'll cross over. Meanwhile, there's a biker over here. Indigo bike. So we're forced over here. That's Cypress Street over here. This is Clinton, like Hillary Clinton or President Clinton, Bill Clinton, you know, Chelsea Clinton, and so forth and so on. They backing in there. So anyway, it just so happens that I had a dog walk down here about another block. And I texted him to say, you know, I just got in a bike accident, I'm in the ER. And his response was, I wondered if he thought that I was lying. I would never do that, but for people who don't really know, if he didn't know me or see me for who I really am, maybe he, I don't know what he thought, but he's like, oh my God, who's gonna walk my dog? He can be a little bit of a diva, but there were two other people I contacted. One was James Nolan. He lives all the way down by, he used to live all the way down by Yassine Market, 4th and Montrose or Monroe, one of those near Bainbridge. And he's like, don't even worry about it. Just, cause I was headed to his dog walk. He's like, don't even worry about it. You know, just skip it for today. My dog will survive. You know, he can even get home or, you know, whatever. You know, back in the day, people used to leave their dogs all day and they would, you know, you work 9 to 5. So anyway, he said, don't worry about it. Another guy, Mike Alvenberg, who, and his wife, I walked their dogs 4 times a day. And they were all the way up at 22nd and Market in the Marano. So I was river to river, you know, regularly. That's a 4th Street to 22nd is a hike. That's why I had the bike. Anyway, he's like, don't worry, as long as they get a dinner at some point, you know, he's like, if, you know, if you can get there one more time today. Like, I don't know if they really knew the severity, because I tend to not know how to show how bad something is. So anyway, he's like, you know, or he might have said, keep me posted or whatever. He's like, don't worry too much. But technically he had hired me for like 5 days to walk his dog 4 times a day, because he was intermittent. He and his wife would go away. You know, they would come in like every month and need like 4 or 5 days of walks for 4 times a day. So anyway, so Ace and his dad, Rob, lived here at 406, you know, South 9th. So that's not too far from the ER. That hospital's right down there. So also, very oddly, and this is highly unusual, I was supposed to be meeting up with a friend from a running group named Jeff Berger, like hamburger, B-U-R-G-E-R. He happens to be vegetarian. And I'm sure he's still strictly vegetarian, which is funny. And because of the bike accident, I was at some point, I'm like, I have to text him. He thinks I'm going to meet him at a certain point. Was I doing the Utleys? Because somehow I might have also been walking the Utleys dog and checking in on their cat and doing, no, because it would have been house sitting. I was not walking the Utleys dog. The only time I took care of their dog, and that's the professional baseball player and his wife, was when they went away. So I would have been house sitting, and I was not house sitting. I was at home, fortunately, to recover in between. I still had to go out and do dog walks. There were only 2 dog walks that I canceled, or, you know, and this Jeff Berger guy, finally I was able to text him, and I saw on my phone that there were like 5 texts like, where are you? You were supposed to meet me at the coffee shop. And meanwhile, I'm feeling like as if I did, you know, as if I forgot or did something wrong, or if I was being yelled at. Not yelled at, but it was like, anyway, I had to explain I was just in a bike accident. He wound up meeting up with me, and he could see that I was in fact in a bike accident. So it was, you know, clearly it was really bad. But I also had to retrieve my bike. I think Jeff might have met up with me in time for me to get the bike. I can't remember everything. It's been so many years. This is, you know, 12 years later, over 12 years later. But I'm saying it because what happened to me was so bad, and the harassment kept going on, and weird things kept happening over and over and over again. And it was way over the top. So I just, you know, somebody gathered up all the information, and there are people who said, if we would have stepped in and said, this has got to end, whatever it is. But no, other people had to let it go, and they kept me trapped in dog walking. So a little, and it was showed there with that truck that desperately needed to park. And, you know, I know he needs to get his work done, but see how it looked like a trap trying to walk past that next to the hospital there while, you know, he was trying to back into the loading supplies area or whatever it is. So here's a Starbucks. It's been here for years, on the corner here to the right. So anyway, I retrieved my bike, then came down here to Via Bicycle. It used to be Via Bicycle. For quite a few years now, they've been over on Broad Street. Now it's Pet Snobs, which is funny because I was walking dogs. This used to be Via Bicycle. It looked a little different. They've kind of done up the windows and everything. And, you know, he's a well-known guy who sells and repairs bikes and everything. He'll pick up old bikes and pass the savings on to you, is what he would say. So I went in there, and he could see that I was badly marred and beaten up. And he's like, wow, you took a real spill there. He said, you know, he said he could fix the bike by the end of the day, probably, or I forget how long. It might have been close to a weekend, because I remember there being a gap of time, and maybe I was able to recoup on a Sunday. So anyway, he, you know, of course, then I would have to pay for the repairs. I think he should have given it to me for free because of the accident. But like, clearly it's like, listen, this one's on us. That would be like the best thing to do. Here's Chapter House, as if it was someone's narrative or story. Anyway, that's that. I was able to get the bike repaired within like a day and a half. Still met up with Jeff, but not to eat. He just sort of walked around with me for a couple minutes. Anyway, what a day that was.